everybody, welcome back to Engagement Academy, where I sometimes record the show from a lavalier mic while I go for a walk. So if you hear wind or noise, Christy's just being Christy and living her life while talking to you. Because I am a single mom with 2 kids and I love to do all of this. And sometimes I need to just do it while multitasking. Today I want to talk about one of the most ridiculous things circulating on LinkedIn that I can't believe I'm having to read and say a bunch of bad 4-letter words to myself. Like, what? Why is this still an issue? So I'm going to keep talking about it until enough people feel like they get it at the exec level. And that involves starting with you. And I know how you feel about it. It's the return to office policies. It is a conversation that is sparking so much tension between leadership teams and their employees. And it's like, I get it. Executives, they want control. They want visibility. Employees want flexibility, which is like oil and water sometimes in its execution, the way it's playing out in the workplace. So how do you, as an HR or a people ops or a comms leader, or however you're on the hook to drive engagement, how do you navigate this when it starts to be a conversation unfolding at your company? And I always like to begin with explaining the mindset of an executive. That's always a great place to start. When something feels so wonky and backwards to you and you're like, what is wrong with you? Why are you forcing this? Whatever it is, whether it's blocking a survey or actually returning people to office without talking to them, just remember that their focus is always on business outcomes. And they're living in another reality where they look at different metrics. So their want for control and productivity and driving results, that can seem like super duper toxic, but they actually want the return to office to be something that ensures accountability and performance. That's their way of loving on the organization, if you can believe it. So your job is to help them achieve those goals, but in a way that keeps your employees and your revenue drivers engaged and motivated. So when you're approaching this conversation, if you want to push back, or if you're hearing grumbles about it at the executive level and you're trying to get in front of it, instead of jumping straight to battling over where people work, try to frame the conversation around how they work best. Tell your execs that it's really not about being in the office that drives productivity. It's about the outcomes. So you could say something like, let's focus on the metrics that matter, like output and engagement and performance and revenue. If you present it this way, you start speaking their language. If your revenue's on track, by the way, or if your customers are not churning, or if your company is performing well, the executive team is risking a ton of stats. If things are working, why mess with it? Because you might think you can drive more, but your revenue drivers, when they get told what to do, they don't like that. And then they resist. It's like basically taking a big gamble roulette of are we going to blow this company up and mess everything up that was good? And also, if revenue's not on track, it's like, well, let's figure out what's wrong. Because if we force everyone to come in office, we still haven't gotten to the root of what probably is the issue, which is managers or shifting deadlines. These are things I'm literally telling you were a problem that could have easily been fixed, and a return to office was not it. But basically, our managers are not equipped. They run the teams like little fiefdoms. The company's not living by its values. Everyone's feeling isolated. There's not an easy way to connect and get to know one another. You might think a return to office solves that, but everyone's super awkward in person too. There's got to be things built into your employee experience that get people to get to know each other, that don't force them to pay for daycare and all that stuff. But we also, we have too many meetings. If you make us come to the office, we're still going to have too many meetings. We're still going to feel super isolated and awkward and be dealing with crummy managers. You can be surrounded by people and still feel super isolated because the culture is just not one of opening up and being your authentic self, because the company's not living by any values that allow you to do that, and no one demonstrates it. Do you see? If you're ever going toe-to-toe or verbally sparring with some kind of an executive around something like this, and they try to say something rude or dismissive to you, something like, well, we made this decision already, or you have no idea how business works, my advice to you is to, A, keep your cool. I know that's tough in the moment, but stay professional and focused on the outcomes. But when they throw objections like that, you can say, I get it. We can start measuring productivity and gathering data to see if that's really the case before making big decisions. I'm here to help make sure you accomplish the goals that the organization set out to accomplish, and that involves the revenue drivers. So my focus here is making sure that you and the company achieves its goals. But how do I not understand how business works? I think I just reminded you that you're about to piss off all the people that drive your revenue. Old buddy, old pal, man or woman, doesn't matter. So it's just really important for you to find a way to remind any of your executives that forcing employees into unwanted unwanted changes, that can totally backfire. That's like a really bad idea. Nobody likes to be told what to do. And high turnover and disengagement will cost way more in the long run than like the results they think they're going to push. So a way you can frame that is like, hey, I understand the need for control, but the priority should be on keeping the people who are driving the revenue happy and productive. If we lose them, we lose revenue. I'm finding different ways to say this to you. There's really no reason they can force this if they haven't really said it out loud themselves. You got to kind of get them to, that, I don't know if it's a phrase or I've heard it before when someone goes, say it again, but slower when you said something dumb. Your executives aren't dumb. Do not say that to your executives. I'm making a joke to you right now, but it's basically what you're doing is you're like, so you want revenue, you want control, you want to take very emotional humans who can't help the way that they are. We're all this way. You want to force them to do something hard that they didn't ask for and get more output from them. That's not how it works. I can tell you how this movie ends. So it's really, really important. This is like part 2 of all this when you're getting in front of the conversation. Like, why are we having this conversation? Hold on. Well, what are you thinking this is going to do? Okay, cool. That's adorable of you. Have we talked to the employees? Like the importance, part 2 here, importance of involving employees in this decision is so critical. Maybe you will return to office. Maybe everybody really is like, yeah, we'd love that. We miss coming together and we'd love that. You have to ask them though. You have to give them a chance to say, no, thank you. Or I don't care either way, or yes, please. And if there's a majority that says one or the other, you must listen, because if you move forward and everyone says, no, don't make us go back in office, and you're like, cool, we're going back in office. It's just like treating your soldiers really bad and then like expecting them to go to battle for you. It's like, they're not gonna. They're like, why did you even ask me? The executives have to understand that the company is a living, breathing organism of a bunch of people that come together to make the whole thing move. And if you ever ask your employees, do you want to do this thing? And they go, no. And you make them do it, they're going to be like, I hate it here. And it's going to gum up the whole productivity of your whole organism. And if executives are like, well, we can't let employees make this decision. Well, we had a pandemic, people. And people did adjust, and actually productivity increased. Research showed that. I'm going to have to dig up the report now, but I will put it in the show notes. Productivity totally increased. Mental health went through the floor, and engagement totally suffered because people were lonely, but people have figured out how to be more productive at home. So finding other like opportunities you can give executives before this is like, hey, why don't we ask them how the work is going? Send an engagement survey. Gallup's 12 questions. They measure the employee experience. They can identify the roadblockers to like how the work's getting done, whether it's in office or at home. It's still the same project management softwares. It's still the same managers, maybe having one-on-ones or not. It's still the same toxic teams having a hard time communicating and getting through to each other and collaborating and innovating. That's the stuff that's causing the company to go slower. So if you make a big old push to get back in office, you're basically going to have the same workforce, but a little bit disadvantaged and ticked off because now they're in person and they had to like do their makeup and brush their hair and like wear a collar. And it's not to say like, of course we should all take good care of ourselves, but employees really have gotten comfortable at home. And I got to tell you, it saves me a lot of headspace when I don't have to get ready every day, So the key here is just balancing leadership's goals and demonstrating that you understand them with what the employees are saying they need. And if you show the executives that you're aligned with the business and you show the employees that you care about how they work best, you're much more likely to get buy-in from everyone to keep the company functional. But the employees have to be part of it with you. If you just launch an announcement, hey, we're going back to the office, they're not going to like that. They're going to be so ticked off. They're going to talk on company time about how unfair this is. They didn't even ask us, oh, what am I going to do about daycare? Oh, what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do about that? I'm not going to have time to work out. You could argue too, like, well, why are employees working out on company time? I'm talking about tech here. I know frontline workers wouldn't do this, but like, listen, productivity increased, remember? I had more time to actually take care of myself and my fitness and think more clearly and get to the gym and have my best great ideas come out when I was taking care of my body. You're not at the gym for 7 hours. You're there for a quick workout and then back to your desk. Who cares when the work is getting done? As long as it gets done, let employees be flexible. That's what they want. People want to enjoy where they work and feel like they're respected and trusted to get it done right and supported and given the right tools to get there. So never force a return back to work without surveying employees. If you do survey employees and they say hard yes or hard no, and it's pretty clear, pay attention and listen and encourage your executive to go out and talk to people. Ask them more why and be humble about what employees have to say. But the more you involve employees, the more you'll subconsciously make them think that because they were part of the decision and that you care about their employee experience because you do. So if you ever hear grumbles of we're going back to the office or return to office versus remote versus hybrid, it's all about dialing it back to say what will drive performance. Okay? All right. I know you think a random return to office is crazy. I know you know that. Hopefully today's episode helped you to think through when you're in that situation or what you could do next time you're in that situation. Think more critically on your feet and have a more leveled up conversation with your executives where they're like, whoa, I didn't know you spoke fluent revenue. And you're like, I do, because I'm an engagement academy and I have Christy's cheat sheet. Join the community if you're not already. And we got to do another LinkedIn Live. We had one last week and it was fun. I had so much fun with you guys. We'll do it again. I'll try to do one maybe every other week. Okay, return to office is goofy. If it's not what your people want, mission accomplished. Take care. Love you guys.